Welcome to the Winning Edge Investments Podcast. Winning Edge Investments provides industry-leading horse racing and sports betting tips, ratings and education, enabling you to invest intelligently and treat your betting like a business. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com to learn more about how you can start to supercharge your betting bank immediately. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.
Live across the SEN track and RSN networks. And broadcasting live on racing.com. This is Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up on this Friday morning, all thanks to Winning Edge Investments, tips and ratings for racing and sports. It's time to catch up with Dean Evans, who had another big weekend last weekend, and of course we'll preview the Turnbull, Flight Stakes, Epsom and the Metrop. Hello to you, Dino. What a weekend it is.
Good morning, Gareth. Yeah, moving day as they call it. Fantastic racing. We got 3 Group 1s in Sydney, the Turnbull at Flemington, which is obviously the key lead up for the Cox Plate, the Melbourne Cup, the Caulfield Cup. We've got the Premier Stakes, which is the lead up for the Everest. And we've got all the early 2-year-olds running as well, which are always fun, really exciting. So just a cracking go of racing on Saturday.
And well done last week, West of Swindon, one of your plays leading all of the way there at the Valley.
Yeah, I think last week was a real lesson in maps and the importance of maps. I spoke about how Vinrock and Lady Shenandoah, I couldn't see how they were going to get in and get any kind of decent run.
Yeah.
And that's how it played out. And people are taking sort of $1.70 and $2.40 about these things at Moonee Valley with a map that just doesn't work. And I think a lesson in making sure that if you're taking those kind of odds, you need a few things in your favour.
Let's have a look at the Turnbull Stakes. This is the Group 1 at Flemington. Via Sistina at $2.40. We talked about Eliana all morning. I know Mark Hunter's keen on Eliana at $5. Sir Delia's at $5.50. And Tino's at 10.5. Yours at $11. What a race this promises to be, where you got the Caulfield Cup, the Melbourne Cup and the Cox Plate favourite all coming together here in the Turnbull.
Yeah, outstanding Turnbull field. A really, really high quality field. I think, talking about the map, one of the interesting things about this race is in the last 14 years, only one horse has drawn either barrier 1 or 2 and won, and that was Winks in a 7-horse field who won by about 8 lengths. And I recall the next time that Winks won this race, she was sort of stuck back last, if you remember, trying to run down Youngstar. She only really got there near the end. It was one of her more hairy kind of wins in her career, and just showed how hard it is to do. And the reason that's relevant here is I think sort of Via Sistina gets a similar type of concern. When I have a look at the map here, it's really sort of average tempo. You got Golden Path up front and sort of River of Stars, and I think Sir Delius will get across pretty easy and sit outside. But then you sort of got Via Sistina stuck back on the fence. You got Half Yours and Aliana sort of outside, jostling to sort of slot in just one out. Adelaide River, Moira, Deacon, Young Werther, they all kind of settle midfield, and so she's going to have a lot of traffic around her. You've then sort of got Zardozi behind him, Antino, who I presume here at some point, I think, will go and do his, daring tactics and circle around them like they did, on the Toorak and on the Doomben Cup and that sort of thing. So I just see a potential here where Via Sistina just get boxed sort of 3-4 back on the fence, and J Max, he's amazing, but he's going to need to do some work against a really quality field here. So from a betting perspective, I'm keen to bet around her at that price. The 2 horses I do like, Aliana, I'm speaking about her a fair bit. I think next year she's going to, be the next superstar mare. But I still think that she maps really well here. Looks a really, really strong chance. She, beat Via Sistina home in the Mackay D the last start when it was just a jog and sprint. She'll be even better over a more truly run 2,000 metres here, the way that she won the Derby. I do like her as a good chance. And the other one I think is going to really improve is Antino. You look at the form there, the times that he ran, so around +17 winning the Hollandale, he ran +5 winning the Doomben Cup. He would have won the Mackay Diva if they'd sort of taken those daring tactics, but I think they were just saving him for one more run before they try that, and I think they will try that here in the Turnbull, and I think the way the race shapes, it could be quite effective as well. So I think it's not a bad betting race here, and I'm going to be backing Eliana and Antino to topple Via Sistina.
It's been interesting with Via Sistina because they've tried to get her with Barrier 1 in the Randwick, in the Queen Elizabeth, in the Wink Stakes, and she overcome that inside gate, and she even had gate number 1 after the scratchings there in the Maccabi Diva. So, J-Mac, it's not an easy draw for a big horse like that, so it will be fascinating to see what happens in a Turnbull Stakes there on Saturday from gate number 1. As we mentioned a few times today, it is one hell of a race, with tactics going to play a major part. I reckon whoever gets their tactics right or the luck at the right time, I would imagine, will be winning this year's Turnbull Stakes. We go to the feature races in Sydney now, Dean, and we'll start with the Flight Stakes. This is for the 3-year-old fillies. They move up to the 1,600 metres. Apocalyptic's at $1.80. Tupakara at $6. Within the Law finally gets a gate at $7.50. Then Queen of Clubs at $10 with Bet365. How do you see this race, mate?
Yeah, well, look, Apocalyptic is obviously a filly that we have been following since the start of the spring. We backed her at sort of $13 in futures at Winning Edge Investments. So she's one that we're definitely cheering home. I can't really see any reason why she can't win. She maps pretty well here. She's set sort of 3 wide, no cover, last start and won. She's going to have to get across, but I think from the wide gates, horses like Reflect and Chupacabra and Apocalyptic will all just push forward. Apocalyptic might even end up in the trail or the 1-1. And, you know, if she gets in that kind of spot, I see her being very, very hard to beat. She's got a really, really strong turn of foot. I think the mile's going to be no problem for her at all. I think she looks really, really hard to beat. Spinning of a hot tempo here and looks a real, really high quality filly. Who's going to win plenty of Group 1s, I think. Chupacabra is probably the danger. She was sort of third beaten the neck in the Champagne as a 2-year-old. She was a good third behind Apocalyptic. She was sort of 3 wide, no cover there. And again, I think she can push forward here and dictate, and she'll be the one that could kick away, and Apocalyptic will need to run down. But I do think Apocalyptic's just very, very hard to beat here, and you know, we're certainly cheering her home with a big futures ticket.
Yeah, it's been good to us, hasn't it? That futures ticket there with Apocalyptic there for Michael Friedman in the Flight Stakes on Saturday. She's into $1.80 now, so God bless her. Then Autumn Glow is all of the rage in an Epsom Handicap. She's at $2.20 despite the outside gate. Pericles at $7.50. Charwolf at $8.50. Will he do it? The former Kiwi at $9, and then the Kiwi Pierre is at $12 and out to $15 for Swift Falcon. There's been some money for Al Costello, $26 into $19 now.
Yeah, Autumn Glow, another horse who, before her debut, I sort of said, I think this is a Group 1 filly. Yeah. She trialled like a superstar, ran sort of times I haven't seen, and did it very easily. All the profiling really works for her. You know, 4-year-olds have won 9 from the last 14 years with the best betting profile. Third up, 8 winners, really good betting profile. Chris Waller, he dominates this race. He's won it 5 times in the last 14 years and won second another 5 times. Winners have won 7, and winners at the last start have won 7. Interestingly, in this race, in the last 14 years, nothing has finished worse than 4th, and at its last start has won this race. It's always a good form race, the Epsom. Everything sort of draws through. I think what's interesting, she drew wide, and people were concerned about that. But in fields of 13 plus, there's been 9 winners who've drawn barrier 10 or worse.
Yeah.
There's actually only been 4 winners in the last 14 years that drew barriers 1 to 5, and 3 of them were in small 10-horse fields. So I think once the field gets a bit bigger, you actually want to be out wide. If you look at some of the winners of this race in recent years, they've sort of been able to sit 3, 4 wide. Horses like Chell, Wolf, and Private Eye, Probably Colden, they all sort of got back and wide and run on. So I don't think it's going to be any problem. I think the only risk with Autumn Glow is there's a fairly strong tempo here, fully lit and Magneteer go quick up front. Pericles gets a really nice run on the trail, and then K-Max has sort of got to get across and try to get in that 1-1. I think the only risk of him getting that 1-1 is Yellow Brick. If Yellow Brick pushes forward and gets that 1-1, then then K-Mac could be sort of stuck free wide in the cover. I think that's the only risks to Autumn Glow here. If that happens and a Chow Wolf or a Pier sort of gets on her back and gets a nice stuck run. But, again, we bet Autumn Glow at sort of $6 in futures, and so we'll be cheering her. But I think the two dangers really are Chow Wolf. Despite the big weight, the horses with big weights actually have a pretty strong betting profile here. So I don't see that as too much of a negative. They've actually won 6 out of the last 14 years and only 36 runners and a strong profit on turnover. So I think Chow Wolf is probably the main danger. And then Pierre, who sort of chased home Autumn Glow really well and ran pretty good late section, was in the fair marks first up. He's the other one. If you don't like Autumn Glow, or you're worried about her sitting pretty wide no cover, or you have got a good futures price and you're looking to bet around her, I'd say Chow Wolf or Pierre are her only dangers.
Let's have a look at the Metrop. This is the other Group 1. Solar Spain at $5. Birdman at $6. That's 2 for Chris Waller. He dominates this race. Changing of the Guard, $9. Travolta at $9. Vauban, your horse. He's unloved in the market, out to $11. Etna Rossa at $11. And then Royal Supremacy, which I think is Kira Ma's best horse here, is at $11. Arapaho at $12 here. How do you read this year's Metrop, mate?
Yeah, Waller, as you said, he's got an unbelievable record. Won 6 of the last 14 years and won second another 4 times. Gay has won a couple of Metrops in the last 14 years. I just think from a barrier perspective, barriers 1 to 4 have won 8 the last 14 years, and 5 to 8 have won the next 4. So it's quite a hard race to win from sort of a double-digit barrier. The winner usually comes out of the Kingston town, and there's a fair few of them coming out of that 2,000-metre race last start. Usually if they run the first 6, then they're a chance of winning this race any worse than that, and they don't usually come up. The other trick of this race, only one horse in the last 14 years won with more than 56 kgs, and I think that's a telling point. It's going to make it hard for both Vauban and Arapaho. I think are clearly the two class horses, but carrying 58.5 and 58 when the majority of the field are only carrying, 50 or 50 and a half. That's a big ask. The horse that looks to profile the best is Birdman, quite clearly.
Yep.
It was just really impressive in winning the Kingston town. Really finished home strongly. I think this is sort of the prep for him now that he's had a couple of preps in Australia. If he drawn sort of inside 8, I would have just about declared him unbeatable. I think the only risk again is that wide gate and where he gets to from there. But he looks very hard to beat. Etna Rossa has drawn really well in barrier 2 and sort of has that right profile, finishing home really strongly for third in the Kingston town and dropping from 56 to 50 as Birdman is dropping from 55 to 51.5, and that's usually the right profile to win this race. So I think Birdman, Etna Rossa, the clear top 2, and with Vauban, just looking to hopefully get a good ride from Tim Clark here. He's had a few poor rides on the horse, unfortunately, and if he can just slot sort of 6th or 7th just behind the speed, I think that's the best place for Vauban, and I think we'll see him run really strongly and hopefully just get back on track and then be ready to go for a Caulfield Cup.
Yep, bring it on. And talking about Caulfield Cups, this SEN competition is going on still with Winning Edge Investments. It's the best competition ever. So you've got to enter. You go to sen.com.au/competitions and you follow the prompts for the Winning Edge Investments Vauban comp. If you win, you get a double pass to either Randwick for Everest Day or Caulfield Cup Day. I think the packages are worth about $5,000 each. So you get to choose one of those venues on one of the great days of Australian racing. And then you also get 1% of Vauban for the Caulfield Cup. So if he wins, you get about $30,000.
Yeah, look, we're really excited about it. I can tell you the stable still think he's absolutely flying. Yep. I think we'll see a really good run in the Metrop, and he'll be one of the horses right in the market there for the Caulfield Cup. So really fantastic opportunity for a racing fan to enjoy a day of luxury at either the Everest or the Caulfield Cup, and a chance to be the owner of the day in Vauban that I still think is a really big chance in the Caulfield Cup. It'll be the first sort of race that he's really suited in for this prep.
And before I let you go, we are running out of time, mate, but when you look at your social media platform on X, it's at Dean Trials Spy. So you're the king of the trialers, so we need to get your opinion on these 2-year-old races at Flemington and Randwick on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I think Gay could win all three.
Okay.
I think in the Maribyrnong Plate, she's got Knightsbridge and plus 2.8 the last 600 metres, the second quickest of 58 trialers on the day at Kensington. Gay's won this race twice, and the winner of this race the past 3 years has come out of those Randwick trials. I think the horses just get a bit of grounding. Okay. They go a bit harder in those trials than they do in the jump out. So I think Knightsbridge can win the Maribyrnong Plate. In the Breeders' Plate, I actually think I'm Your Huckleberry just ran a really strong last 600, and his trial win was plus 4.1. Gay's trifected this race 2 years in a row. I think she'll trifecta it again. I'm Your Huckleberry to beat Eviction Notice and Revengeance. And in the Gimcrack, I think Shiki was the best trialer of the fillies. She ran plus 2.7 in winning her Randwick trial, plus 1.6 last 600, the seventh quickest of 58 trials on the day. I think the only dangers are yes, she did better off alone, but yeah, I think Gay can win all three with Knightsbridge, Shiki, and I'm Your Huckleberry.
Beautiful. Shiki, 340 there in the Gimcrack. The second favourite, I'm Your Huckleberry, at $2.90 in the Breeders' Plate. And then at Flemington in the Maribyrnong Trial, Gay's horse is $5.50 at a great each-way price with J-Mac riding. So love that, mate. It'll be Gay's Day with the babies to kick off another season. We appreciate your time as always, and good luck, of course, with Warband, mate, in the Metrop on Saturday. And just before we let you go, Winning Edge Investments, you can find a lot of different sports that you can bet on with your experts. Rugby league, who are you tipping in the NRL Grand Final?
Yeah, going to be a cracker game. I am starting with the Storm. I think that spine of Hughes, Munster, Pappenhausen, and Harry Grant. They can weave wonders, and I think that they'll have learned a lot from last year's grand final loss, and I think they're ready to go. The Broncos will put plenty of points on and make it really, really interesting. But I think Storm will find a way to win. Beautiful, mate. Love your work. Good luck this weekend. Cheers, Gareth. Appreciate it. Same to you. He's a good man. Dean Evans from Winning Edge Investments. WinningEdgeInvestments.com. WinningEdgeInvestments.com. Tips, ratings and betting education for racing and sports.